Okay, y'all, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Back to the Game Sportscast with your host, your boy, Samuel Maria. I'm super excited to be doing this episode today. I actually had a few different versions of what this episode might look like, and I think I landed on the perfect balance of it. So let's just jump right in. Who are the faces of the NBA today? Rankings. Oh, yeah, let's get into the rankings. Let's do this. Why? Because I think that's the funnest part of this. But mainly, we know that post the All-Star break in the NBA, there's been a lot of chatter about the face of the NBA. Some superstars have come out and said that they don't want to be the face. Some, we've seen LeBron talk about the negative side of it. And I think there was a side of me, because I actually tend to side with the opinion that it's mostly the players to blame for this situation. But instead of proving LeBron right as to providing some negative bias, I kind of wanted to take the opportunity, since the chatter is high and there's a lot of people talking about it, to give you guys my rankings of the faces of the NBA today. Now, this ranking is going to be cool, but here's what it's not going to include. It will not include LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant. Hear me out why. Yes, they are still to this day, the most popular faces in the NBA. However, I left them off this list because I think all three of them, while amazing careers and talents, are direct beneficiaries of the modern game. And here's what I mean by that. All three guys, now well into their mid and late 30s, LeBron 40, are benefiting from two things that none of the aging superstars of the past have been able to have. The first is the science, technology, and information that these athletes have at hand, along with the generational wealth that allows them to be NBA players year-round, round the clock. But mainly, Steph, LeBron, KD came into the NBA just as the information and science around how to take care of your body, how to increase longevity, was spiking through the roof. And the second reason, they are also the beneficiaries of the modern day rules, which in every sport continue to evolve towards protecting athletes so that they can remain healthier for longer, and so they can, sell tickets for longer. So I think that all three of them would either be in a rapid decline or already out of the league had they played in the roughneck eras of the 80s and 70s and 90s, or didn't have all of the information and science and technology available to them so that they can keep their bodies in tip-top shape. I think that maybe they would still be in the league, but I don't think they would be nearly as productive as they've been. And so I do think they had a great crowning achievement moment in the last Olympics. Amazing. LeBron was amazing throughout. Steph proved how clutch and how unbelievable his unique skill set is. And we're all blessed to watch them in this late into their careers. That's definitely a benefit of being a basketball fan today. If you're a big fan of the stars today, chances are if that star is focused enough, you're going to see them for a while. But I want to leave those three guys out because I think they've been the face of the NBA for some time. And I'm not sure that they would still be the face of the NBA had we been in a different era. And I think there are there's a whole crop of other generation of players that is having a hard time breaking through to become the face of the NBA, mainly because those three guys are still around. But with that being said, I've created a ranking excluding those guys of who is the face of the NBA today. And guess what? Contrary to belief, you don't get to pick whether you are the face or one of the faces of any sports league, period. That's not, I like that players are coming out. I don't want to be the face. I don't want to be a role model. BS. Because guess what? You don't get to pick. The fans do. They pick with their money, with the ticket sales, with the merchandise sales, with the views. They pick based on who resonates the most with the viewer. And so that's the number one criteria of this ranking is resonance. Who is resonating the most with the viewer? And in that is sprinkled game, how you're evolving the game, what you're doing off the court, and charisma, personality, all of that stuff, all bundled into one is what makes the face of the NBA. And some things are heavier than the other, and I'll talk about them throughout, but I can't wait to hear what you guys got to say about this. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. I got 3 names for you guys that I think were going to crack my top 10 and just missed it because for different reasons. We'll start with the first one, Anthony Davis. By far, many think because of injuries, the most talented player in the league to have had one of the more underrated and yet underwhelming careers. A lot of it's due to injury with Anthony. I also think that hasn't always had the mentality that it would take to be one of the top faces in the NBA, but he certainly has all of the skills. And he was having a monster year before that huge trade with Luka, where he was averaging 24 points, 10 rebounds. He was really trying to take the mantle from LeBron. However, the roster constructed around the Lakers and LeBron's skill set with his, to me, in my opinion, it works, but not at a championship level. I think also playing with LeBron diminishes your stardom a bit. It can help you get wins, maybe even championships back in the day, but it does put you second fiddle to LeBron. And now with this trade to Dallas, and now he's hurt, I think Anthony Davis is certainly talent-wise worthy of a top 10 face of the league, but he is just outside, if you ask my opinion. The second name I got for you guys is Donovan Mitchell. When it comes to skill and game and eye test, Donovan Mitchell is one of the funnest watch in the NBA. The dude's got handle, hops. He can hit long range. He's go for the mid range. He's quick. He plays defense, I think. He's definitely amongst the steal leaders in the NBA. And he's just an exciting player. However, the market he's in, Cleveland, as well as the fact that before that he was in Utah, not two of the most marquee teams in the NBA, and he hasn't really been consistent enough to really separate himself and really put his talent level to a level of, say, guys similar to him that came before, Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson. Those guys were much more consistent and much more impactful, and they were in better markets, Philadelphia, Miami. So Donovan Mitchell, honorable mention. This last one was hurt. I wanted him to crack the top 10 so bad, but unfortunately, he's just outside. To me, he's number 11, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is the perfect number 2 option in the NBA right now, a defending champ, an NBA Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, one of the leaders of the defending champions, and also is on the cusp of that because he has a unique way of impacting the game off the court, which is through his, and some agree with it, some don't, but through his desire to trailblaze and be more of a social justice warrior, to be more of an intellectual, to be more of an innovator. He created his own shoe. It looks pretty cool. I might have to try it. It looked pretty baller, to be honest with you. Very minimal design, kind of cool. Looks like a beehive type thing. So I might check it out. He's just missing the top 10. I had him originally in top 10, and then this one name came about, and I realized, no, he's just outside. But Jaylen Brown is one of the many great faces of the NBA, and I think if he continues to elevate his game and then continues to compete the way he does, because I think one of the things that make him, and some people might have him in their top 10, is his mentality. He's a competitor. He's a competitor, and viewers relate to that deeply. That is one of the biggest things that we love to see in the faces of a league. Does he compete? And I would say out of the 3 honorable mentions, Jaylen Brown is the fiercest competitor. Now let's get into the top 10. And we'll start from the top. A name I don't think much people are talking about. He had a bit of a falling off, one could say, due to some off the court stuff, but he's making a comeback in a really big way. He's keeping his name out of headlines, and his team is tops in the West all year long. I'm talking about that boy, Ja Morant. Now, Ja Morant coming in at number 10 might surprise some people that he isn't higher. However, I will say he's the one guy on this list that can go from number 10 to number 1 or number 2 like that. I think he is one of the most explosive athletes. His charisma, he's very good looking, he's very modern, got the tattoos going on, he's playing in a rough town that kind of matches his swag. When he's competing on the court, Memphis has been a competitive team. He is a competitor. He doesn't back down. He likes going against guys. When he goes up against LeBron, when he goes up against Steph, he'll talk smack even to his detriment. Kind of saw that a couple years ago when they faced the Warriors. So I think Ja Morant, as far as his competitiveness, his style of play, he's high flying above the rim, as well as just his stats and his skill set, his talents, his speed, his change of direction, his finishing at the rim. He is the player that I think is number 10 right now due to the setback he had, but could easily be number 1 with a couple more years like he's having right now. He's just got that killer mentality. People love him for it. Kids love him. And, if he continues to grow, I could see him going up and being one of the faces of the NBA coming up. So that's number 10, Ja Morant. Number 9. This might surprise a lot of people. Jalen Brunson. Yeah. My man has put the Knicks on the map. I mean, one of the marquee franchises was just... I live in New York. So I'm around Knicks fans all the time. And something that I always say to them is that the orange and blue is loser colors. The Mets, the Knicks. But Jalen Brunson has really brought some respect to that jersey. The dude is hard-nosed like New Yorkers. He really represents New Yorkers. He's got the Allen Iverson thing going where he's just a bully. And he's just got a killer smooth game. Just the game is like that guy at the park who just keeps giving you the business, and he'll bully you a little on the post. He'll cross you over. He goes at his own pace. He's got all the tools that if he was a 6'6" dude, one would say he might be the best player in the NBA. But he's having another really stellar year. He's leading the Knicks on and off the court. He's a great teammate. He's a great role model. You rarely hear stuff about him off the court. All you hear is how hard he plays. And really, he's got the coolest story as far as like coming from the bottom, underrated. Mavs didn't want to sign him to becoming almost like a cult hero in New York City. These guys swear by Jalen Brunson. If you go watch some of the New York content, it's hilarious. But Jalen Brunson's at the lead of that. So coming in at number 9 as face of the NBA is that boy, Jalen Brunson. Keep balling. It's very fun to watch you play, man. And the effort that he displays on the court is exactly what everybody wants to see out of their superstars in the NBA today. Number 8. Now, this guy could be considered part of the old guard. He's like the younger batch of them. You could throw him in that Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, but he's still relevant. And coming in at number 8 is Kyrie Irving, the artist, the savant, the man on the string, the new age Pistol Pete. Look, Kyrie is your favorite basketball player's favorite basketball player, and he's just too good. His offensive set of skills is undescribable. I think he's the funnest watch since AI in the league and Kobe. But left, right, hook, the layup package. He's just got the coolest game. And so that's what makes Kyrie crack this top 10. He's got the coolest game. After Steph Curry, he's got the game that I think most kids want to emulate. Most kids want to play like. Most kids want to be like. They want to be like Kyrie. And I think that says a lot. He's not higher on this list because of some of the stuff he's had to go through off the court, some of the maturing that he's had to do. He's fallen short for as much bad media he's gotten. He's also fallen short himself with some of the things he's come out and said he hasn't needed. The way how he went out in Boston, not necessarily the off the court stuff, but the fact that he had one of the most talented rosters and wasn't able to lead them despite having already been a champion was a bit of a disappointment. And then, we all know how it went in Brooklyn, but now he has a chance to be that guy. Now with Luka out of Dallas, and he's got like a perfect running mate, Anthony Davis. We'll see what the Dallas Mavericks can do, but Kyrie Irving is certainly one of the top faces of the NBA, and he's one of the most, I would say, the most influential after Steph Curry on today's game and the up-and-coming players, who they're watching, who they want to be like. I would put Kyrie right at the top of that. Definitely number 8 at the top 10 list of faces of the NBA. Coming in at number 7. Now, this kid, he should be number 1 to me, but he's number 7 because one, let's just name him off, Anthony Edwards. That is, along with John Morant, the most explosive player and most exciting player to watch in the NBA. 1-2 dribble, you're getting dunked on. Easy. He should do more of that. Watch some more Vince Carter tape. Shoot a little bit less threes. He's cocky. He's charming. He's got something unique that you've never really seen in the NBA before. Usually Southern guys play football, but he's a kid from Georgia who's a baller. And so when he goes to speak, it's like, he's got that running back swag, that wide receiver in the NFL diva swag. And he should honestly be number 1 on this list, except he doesn't want to be. And he says it with his words, and he also does it with his actions. I think he could really benefit. He's what am I going to tell a 23-year-old to settle down? Come on. Like, seriously, handsome, baller. But he could really use some stabilizing, I think, and he's on his way. And if he embraces, because that's part of this, being in the face of a league, is also embracing the responsibility of that. I think LeBron did that. I think Steph did that. KD, not as much. So that's why he couldn't, although he was just as skilled as the other two, he was never quite the face of the NBA quite like the other two, because he didn't want to embrace the role. So part of this is in embracing the role. I think the guys that I've mentioned before this, Kyrie, that's also a part of it. Kyrie hasn't also embraced the role like that. So if Ant is able to embrace the role, he can also quickly jump up on this list really quickly. He's got all the skills, can score it from mid, can fly above you, can hit the 3, handles. The market kills him a little bit. Being in Minnesota, we saw what that did for KG. KG was, for many years, the best player in the NBA after Shaq. It was Shaq, then KG. And yet, you only think of KG, Kevin Garnett, in his years in Boston. But his years in Minnesota were killer. And I think if Anthony is for a long time in Minnesota, we'll look back on it in the same way that, unfortunately, the market wasn't conducive to I never catch one of his games. I never get to see him. I have to intentionally seek him out. So that's why he's at number 6 on my list. Now moving on to number 6 on the list. This one's going to surprise a lot of people because he's so young and he's only in his second year. But to me, soon to be number 1, now number 6, Victor Wembanyama, the alien. 7'3", unbelievable skill set, shoots it like a guard, dribbles it like a guard, can post. He's tenacious. He's limber. Unfortunately, I might have even had him higher had he not just gotten injured. And he's only 20 years old. He's only 20 years old. Imagine that. Unbelievable. But despite all of the amazing things about Victor, skill set wise, genetic wise, I think what makes Victor special, and I noticed it on the night he got drafted, is Victor is an extremely not only competitive player, but prideful player, wants to be the best, wants to compete against the best. And he's also extremely stable. He comes from an extremely stable home, 2 parents who loved, nurtured, and cared for him and brought the best out of him. And I think when Victor hits his stride and some of the challenges come, some of the critique, some of the stuff that always comes when you're rising up to become the best player in the world, I think Victor is uniquely built to handle that. He also seems to be embracing being the face of a franchise, being the face of a city, and that will lead to being the face of the league. I think he's a bigger, more agile Tim Duncan with a much, much better personality. Not better, much more personable approach, and just someone who wants to be the face. Victor wants to be the face of the NBA. He takes pride in potentially being the first player from his country to say, I am this generation's LeBron. I am this generation's Kobe Bryant. I am this generation's Michael Jordan. He seems to want that. And I think that spikes him even in the second year. I'm right up to the top. I don't even know how he didn't make top 5. I see now. Maybe I'm a little biased, but no, he's right where he needs to be at number 6. Rookie of the year, best defensive player of the league already, and just so much upside. Number 6, Victor Wembanyama. Also, he's got an easy to say name, and his nickname is cool, Wemby. So that's going to go really far away in his marketing as far as being able to market him. He speaks great English. Wemby, the alien. I mean, it's a great package. The dude's got a bright future, and to me, he will be number 1 on this list in the next couple of years easily. Number 5, my hometown hero. You could call me biased. I think I'm being pretty fair putting him this low, considering he is a defending champion and now 5-time first team all NBA. I'm talking about that boy, Jason Tatum, who from the moment he has come into the league has done nothing but ball and improve his stats every year. This year, he's averaging 27.5 points per game on the most loaded roster in the NBA, has him in the number 2 seed, coming off the championship, 8 rebounds and 4 assists. But man, is there one of the faces of the NBA that catches more hate than Jason Tatum? And it's all because he's a little bit shyer and not really that articulate, especially compared to one of his teammates. Some might say he's not as competitive as Jaylen Brown. And I think I've been watching Jason since the beginning of his career along with Jaylen. And I think Jason is a much starter player. Like, he's a first quarter type player. But I think if you really sit and look at it, he has had many big moments throughout the regular season and postseason. I would say more so than Jaylen. Jalen definitely had a great finals last year and a great postseason, and he really showed his tenacity. But I think collectively, if you look back at all the games that they've played, Jason has had more clutch moments. That's just from a fan's perspective. He's clearly the best skilled player on the team. 6'9", can shoot the three, can blow by you. I wish he would take more mid-range jumpers and take some less threes because he's very inconsistent in my opinion. Some nights he's 7 for 10, other nights he's 1 for 12. And it's like, bro, you're 6'9". I think he definitely took a step up this year, and he's got the Boston Celtics in position to repeat. And my hope is that they do, because I'm a fan, but so I can see him win that Finals MVP. He's doing all the commercials. He's a great role model, a great dad. The city of Boston loves him. That's probably the number 2 or 3 market in the NBA. And despite the one thing that holds him from being number 5 on this list to being number 1 or number 2 is his demeanor. He's a bit not the most charming of guys. Kind of got that boring basketball, light-skinned swag. But don't get it twisted. This boy is a killer. And he is a baller. I can't say enough good things about Jason Tatum. People say he's not a number 1 option. Skill-wise, he is. If he continues to just allow us to see that competitive nature that I know Boston Celtics fan knows he has, doesn't always come out. There, trust me. Me and my roommate have a running joke. He be acting light-skinned sometimes. But I think Jason Tatum is a top 5 face of the league. Saying anything otherwise would just be hate. He'll be higher if he wins another championship here with the Finals MVP. I think he'll become number 2. He's got all the endorsements. His sneakers are pretty freaking cool. He's a good-looking dude. If he lets himself, his personality hang a little longer, he might be up for that. Let's just keep moving on. Number 4, the newest Laker, Luka Doncic. I mean, the biggest thing that puts Luka as a face, one of the top faces of the NBA, maybe some might say I have him too low, but I think now that he's with the Lakers, he has to prove himself as a Laker to really become the face of the NBA. And we'll see if the light that comes with being LeBron's teammate dims his light, because we've seen it dim many other superstars, because LeBron's light burns bright, and he also loves that it burns bright. That's a whole nother freaking episode. But Luka Doncic is a once in a generation talent. I'm surprised he hasn't been an MVP yet, but it's mainly because of his the lack of defensive skills, and that his team hasn't had the success up until last year. But the boy is a fierce, and I'm talking fierce competitor, and that's I would say in all the things, skills, competitiveness, marketability. I think that the biggest thing that resonates the most with the viewer and makes you the face of NBA is how you compete. How you compete, and no one can take away from Luka that he competes. He wants the ball. He wants to shoot in your face and then tell you about it. What's up? And the people love that about Luka. This year he's averaging 29, 8 and 8. He's a beast. We'll see what is the next step he takes. If he takes it personally, that Dallas traded him in the middle of his prime. Imagine trading Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, in the middle of their prime. But I think Luka, now with the marquee franchise in the NBA, along with the Boston Celtics, with a cool name like Luka, a cool number 77, the competitive nature, we'll see. I think Luka's ceiling is becoming like this generation's Larry Bird. But he really has to go on a fuck everybody, I'm going to get it done type tear for him to get to number 1 for me. So moving on, number 3 face of the league, Nikola Jokic. Skill size wise, number 1. The whole idea that the athletes today are much better than the athletes yesteryear. Nikola Jokic is a wrench in that argument because he's not athletic at all. I mean, what he has is great endurance, great lung capacity, and then he's got his IQ is almost better than LeBron's. He is the smartest player in the NBA, and he is a one-man offense. And what I love about his game is that it's old school, in that basketball is running through him, the center, which is an old way of playing basketball. The only difference is it's still extended beyond the three-point line, so it doesn't look that way. But this is an old school offense that they run around him, where all of it runs through the center. The way the Celtics ran around Bill Russell, the way it was often ran around Bill Walton and Wilt Chamberlain. This is how they run the offense, the Denver Nuggets, and he's putting up insane stats. Insane. 26, 11, and 9. He's averaging almost a triple-double. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. He's a 7-foot Magic Johnson who can't, but with Larry Bird's like speed. To me, his game is my favorite in the NBA after Steph Curry. And he's a 3-time MVP. So, yeah, he doesn't have the personality. We all seen the memes about it's just a job for him, but clearly he loves the game. He loves to compete, and he's authentic. Despite the fact that he's not, all over the place, he's still very much authentic. And when you're watching Nikola, you're getting his best, and you're getting a true version, and that resonates with people. Despite it not being bombastic or explosive, he's got a great game, and to me, he's a great ambassador for the game, not only here in the States, but throughout the world. More kids should want to be like Nikola Jokic, in my opinion. Number 3. Number 2, similar thing as Nikola, except more explosive, more in your face. I will dunk on you. Mr. Freak. Champion. 2-time MVP. Greek god. Giannis Antetokounmpo. My boy. I love Giannis, man. That dude competes. He don't care about nobody. He don't care if you're a star. He's not out there trying to make friends. And if you're his teammate, he's the nicest guy. But as a Celtics fan, we went up against him a couple years in the playoffs. One year it went to Game 7. That dude is a monster. And the league should be thanking their lucky stars that he can't shoot the mid-range. They can't shoot. He can't shoot. But man, he is a beast. He is this generation's Shaq. And to me, very similar to Nikola, the most likable star, the best role model, a family man. He's got a good sense of humor. But he competes fiercely. And I think if he was in a different market and maybe he was an American-born player, he'd be run away the face of the league. Run away. He'd be this generation's LeBron or Jordan because he's built like it. He's like, who gets in the way of that guy? And then the way if you watch his journey, because what we love for our faces of the league is to have somewhat of a journey. Now, the reason why LeBron isn't so as relatable is because he's been this guy from the beginning. He's not relatable in the sense that like Steph Curry is, where he was a scrawny high school kid who turned into Steph Curry. LeBron has always been LeBron, and that's a testament to him. It's also the genetic lottery, but Giannis really turned himself into what he is today. And that is super relatable. People love a rags to riches storyline. And to me, he is the number 2 face of the NBA, which brings me to my number 1. Number 1 on this list. Surprising a lot of people. That boy, silent assassin, mid-range killer, superstar in the game right now. SGA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That boy is a problem. I love watching him play, bro, because he could have played in the 90s. He could have played in the 2000s. Like that mid-range, oh, sweet. And this is what I wish Jason Tatum would play more like SGA. He'd average more. And this is the part that this new era doesn't understand. Like, first of all, none of you are Steph Curry. Cool? Got it? Great. Now, do you know that the mid-range and the 2-point shot is a more efficient shot than the 3, and that if you only make 1 of 10 threes, but you make 3 twos out of 5, that's more points. And that's why he's nowhere near the league at the top of the 3-point shooting stuff, yet he leads the league in points, and he's averaging 6 assists and 5 rebounds. Very similar. This is like a Michael Jordan stat line. 32 points a game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Team's number 1 in the league. They lose Chet Holmgren, no problem. Balling. He's just an automatic 30 a night. Book it. And to me, that combined with he got that pretty boy face and the braids, and he's got super duper fashion. His one little small drawback is he plays for the Thunder. However, because of the Thunder's amazing management, they've been able to turn the Thunder into a team that most people who are fans of the NBA know. They've had now 3 iterations of really good teams. Kevin Durant, and then they flipped that, and they had like a little era where Russell was averaging 20 triple doubles. They were relevant. They weren't great, but they were relevant. And then this now iteration, they just keep flipping these rosters, and they do a really great job at developing talent and making their franchise relevant. So now, even though they're in a small market team, they are well known. And so SGA is the face of that. And to me, he's the face of the NBA. He's put it all together. He's done what Ja couldn't do, what Anthony Edwards refuses to do. He's got more personality than Jason Tatum. Not by much, but enough more. He's got the looks. He's got the flair. He doesn't play above the rim, but he's quick. He's quick. So, to me, he's going to win the MVP this year. Nikola is giving him a run for his money. It's a tight race, but his team has been top of the West. He was a second last year in the voting, and he's really taken a next step towards that. And I think for me, he is the number 1 face of the NBA today. So there it is. That's my list. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Share, like, subscribe. Remember to do all that. But let me know what you think. Do you agree about SGA? Where would you have him ranked? Who's your number 1? I want to know. But that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Back to the Game podcast, where we try to understand the history, the art, and the current situation of the game so that we can get back to talking about what it's really about the game itself. It's your boy Samuel Maria. As always, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.